AITA for expecting my son to share his room? Background: my 40SF husband, 40SM, and I bought a 3-bedroom house a few years ago. Shortly before the panini, we of course took the master bedroom, and the other 2 bedrooms went to our children. Then 12F and 10 meters. We put a very nice double bed in the larger room, and a single bed in the smaller room, and told them both that they could choose their rooms. But whoever ended up in the larger room may be asked to share or relocate for visiting family members, while whoever ended up in the smaller room would have it to themselves always. We almost never have family over. Hubby and I are both only children, and our parents are in other provinces. So we were surprised when our older daughter chose the smaller room, and our younger son chose the larger room. But okay, they worked it out between themselves. Both seemed happy with the choice. So okay. And it has remained that way for a couple of years. Now, we have a 4-day weekend coming up. My kids are now 15F and 12 meters. And my mother decided to come down to visit. Of course, we told her okay. My husband and I, as we hadn't seen each other in a while. And I told our son, with the larger room and bed, that grandma would be here for a few days, and would be using his bed. Well, my son threw a fit. He didn't want to share a room with grandma. Not even on an air mattress. Not even for 3 nights. She smells funny. So we reminded him of the original deal, and offered to put the air mattress in the living room. But that wasn't enough. He'd have no privacy there. His sister offered to let him put the air mattress in her room, which she wasn't required to do. And that wasn't okay either. My husband and I offered to let him put the air mattress in our room, and he said no to that, because sharing a room with your parents, God bless the privilege, but whatever. Finally, I put my foot down and said, the condition of you having the bigger room was that you'd give it up for visiting family members. So one way or another, you're sleeping on an air mattress for 3 nights. You can choose if the air mattress goes in your room or our room or the living room, or literally any room in this house. But you are sleeping on an air mattress while grandma is here. Shortly after that confrontation, my husband came to me and suggested that we encourage my mom to stay in a hotel. I asked him who was going to pay for that hotel. Since she can't afford it, we can't afford to put her up. And he went silent. Now he's calling me tough for forcing our son to give up his room for all of 3 nights. And suggesting that I tell my mom not to come at all since apparently none of us can afford it. Edit. I sincerely appreciate everyone's comments and judgments. But I have officially reached the point where every time I look at my notifications, it adds 2 every second without me even having to hit refresh. Clearly I should have posted this on my main account, since apparently Reddit karma is important in some way. Lol. To follow the common AITA trend and respond to some common themes. 1. Why don't I offer my own, and my husband's, bed to my mom? My husband has back problems, so also cannot viably sleep on an air mattress. I will not be going into detail on this. I also assume that it will be incredibly obvious to everyone why it is not viable for my husband and my mother to sleep in a bed together while I sleep on an air mattress. Not to mention that she would never allow me to give up my bed for her as a visitor. 2. Why doesn't my mom sleep on the couch, air mattress? She's 83 years old. Need I say more? 3. Anything involving my son and daughter switching rooms. My daughter is willing to help in the short term, but she seems a bit smug right now about the overall room choice. So she has no desire to switch rooms and I will not force her. Because what kind of parent would I be if I hold my son to the letter of his deal, but go back on my word to my daughter? You may decide I'm ta, and I'll accept that, but I am not a hypocrite. 4. I am fully aware of the privacy a 12-year-old boy requires. We've had that conversation, and, at the prompting of a couple commenters, I have also recently asked my husband if there was a private conversation between him and my son that would in some way change this situation. He said no, since I do not currently have any reason to believe my husband would lie to me outright. I'm considering that conversation closed. 5. Rip my DMS. Apparently? Lol. I didn't know that happened to 40-something married moms. But please know that I am not interested. NTA, you made the conditions clear and now he isn't happy they are happening to him. For context, I am the oldest of 3 and had a similar arrangement. I chose the biggest and best room after my parents, which also had a bathroom next door that, essentially, became my private bathroom. The arrangement was that I was always the one who had to give up the room to guests. Also because I got a double bed. While I didn't love giving up my room, I understood that was the price of having such a good room to begin with. Also, I usually would give up my room for 1 or 2 weeks at a time. A 4-day weekend is nothing. You son got the room he wanted and is now looking to renege on the deal. You have given him various options, but it is clear he simply does not intend to keep his word. Your husband thinks the person to compromise to his tantrums is your guest, but there is another option. He loses the room entirely and it goes to your daughter going forward. Here is the problem. You made a deal with the kids. It was included that your son share if he got the bigger room. He went into this eyes wide open. First rule of parenting is never give in to a tantrum. How you handle this will set the tone for his term years. So remind him of the deal. Remind your husband that he is your partner in the parenting and maybe he should try to do that. Please. NTA. This sub is obviously full of children who think 3 days on an air mattress, which he agreed to, is akin to some form of abuse that will leave him scarred well into his adult life. I think he can give his grandmother his bed and stop being a brat. Which nothing against him, but is fairly typical kid behavior. I occasionally had to do the same for my grandparents. In hindsight, it was obviously the right call. You're not putting your elderly parents on a damn air mattress. That's insanity. NTA. He is not a toddler. Ask him why is he so adamant about it. But then remember him, he has the bigger room for a reason and he needs to obey. All these people saying Op is the asshole. Oh my god. What is wrong with you? They are not abusing him. They have been more than fair and he is throwing a fit. I agree with trying to understand why he is acting like this to see if there is some underlying issue there. But this kid need to understand the concept of compromise. NTALMFAO. People in the comment section saying, he is 14. He needs privacy. Quote. I am a teenager myself and I can assure you that 3 days of a guest sharing a room isn't invading privacy, especially considering he is the one with the larger room. Also, the op did provide him with various options. It is not as if he was forced to stay with his grandmother. He is throwing childish tantrum and sounds like an entitled, privileged person. You are not the op. You sound more reasonable than a lot of parents including mine. Your son, however, is the and a big one. NTA. WTH? Is your husband serious? How can he let your son dictate the rules of the house? You're the parent and it's only 3 friggin' nights. Put your foot down on this one. Make your son sleep in the garage for all you care. But be sure your mom is comfortable and happy during her visit. Stand your ground. What the hell is up with all the misogynists in the comments prioritizing a 12-year-old boy's jerk off routine over literally everyone else in this family? NTA. PhD is child development here. Do not put grandma in a hotel. Stand firm. He knew the deal. Do not let this child rule here, or you are creating even worse situations for you and for him as he gets older. The fact that he's already throwing a fit leads me to believe this isn't the first time he has realized that throwing a tantrum lets him get his way. Still, you were clear on the rules. Stick to them. The air mattress deal is very reasonable for 3 freaking days. Don't create a monster by giving in. I do not get these YTA responses. Just because someone has kids doesn't mean kids have to have a private bedroom. Kids sharing a bedroom is still super common and not indicative of someone being a good parent. While it is a slight inconvenience to give up his room, it's not like they are putting him in a tent outside. Air mattresses are comfortable, and grandmother, depending on her age, may not be able to get on or off one on the floor. 3 nights isn't a big deal. A kid doesn't get to control the house period and needs to learn about compromising long-term obligations and sharing. 3 nights out of 2 years is nothing. The suggestion for the parents to give up their room is laughable. You do not negotiate with terrorists. My gut reaction is the kid wants privacy so much because at 12 years old he is waking up with a hard on every morning and wants to take care of it. Your husband can have a private conversation with him about that if you so chose. Your son was given 3 very nice options. He can pick which room, but he will be on an air mattress. Also, do you not share a room when you go on family vacations? He will have to share a dorm room in college, more than likely, as singles are uncommon. NTA, he agreed to a rule he thought he could get around. NTA, your son is old enough to know a deal is a deal. What message does it send to him and your daughter if you let him get away with throwing a tantrum to get out of the agreement? Your son's a brat. Sorry. Lost my grandmother in 2017. I would give anything to have her back. Son needs to suck it up. He's a teenage boy. I remember what they smell like, so he's one to talk about grandma. NTA. Your husband and son are both Oz. Your daughter is very nice for her offer. Put your foot down and let your mother sleep in your son's room. It doesn't hurt to sleep somewhere else for a few nights. I got my own room at 16. So he is quite lucky. Also, you have some husband problems. Your husband is a huge aw. He'd rather tell his mill that she can't visit because his 12-year-old can't share his room for 3 days. How absurd is that? A 12-years-old trumps grandma. NTA, but I encourage you to inform your husband he's sleeping on the air mattress too. NTA. What is with people saying your son needs his space? Grandma isn't moving in permanently. It's a temporary inconvenience over a long weekend. He needs to respect his elders. He wouldn't be walking the earth if grandma hadn't raised kids. NTA. I did and still do that every year for Christmas. Yes, it's bothersome, but it's for 3 days. And people suggesting that grandma should be the one to sleep on the air mattress, WTF? Elderly people are so prone to back pain. Jesus. NTA. Your son sounds a bit entitled if he can't survive 3 nights on an air mattress while his grandmother is there. Expecting him to share a bed or room with her would be excessive. But there are presumably other spaces in a 3-bedroom house where he could crash. Edit. To all the people saying YTA because a 12-year needs privacy, safe space, etc. I can't help but think how entitled a society we have become. In past decades, 23 kids would share a room through their entire child and teenage years, and even today there are tons of kids living in miserable conditions in slums, refugee camps, or other similar situations. And Op is being called an awe for telling her son he has to vacate his room for 3 nights while his 60-70th-something-year-old grandma visits so she doesn't have to sleep on an air mattress or stay in a hotel. Just wow. NTA, but can you send your husband to your sunroom and your mother sleep with you in the master bedroom? Quick question for anyone saying YTA. If this family goes on a vacation and they stay in a hotel, would you expect them to get him his very own hotel room? Compromise on privacy for 3 days for a family visit is hardly a big ask. Up. NTA. Unless you give in. He agreed to the terms. Hold him to them. You are teaching him accountability. NTA, no offense, but he is a kid. Grandma visiting Trump's kids emo. At his age when relatives visited us. Not like it happens often. My siblings and I bunked up for a few nights. I thought you were going to say he had to share full time. It's 3 nights.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.